Namaste, beloved ones. It's story time. I promise for this embodiment that we will embark on a few new adventures. And this is really exciting for me because this is something, some of these archetypal stories, metaphor stories, or we call them wisdom tales to transform your life. They're really special because they were gathered right from old ancient cultures, and they hold some kind of treasure that we have yet to find in our lives. And this is something that years and years ago I actually read to myself, and it kept it as a treasure within my heart. And then just recently, because of this true embodiment journey we're doing together, I thought about it again, and it was calling me back. It was calling me to share with you so that we can expand the gold. We can translate it into many nuggets of gold from one tiny nugget, translated into much more. So let's get to it. I like you to relax. It's like an evening meditation time, or a relaxation time if you're in your bed, or perhaps you have a cup of tea and you'd like to relax with me. And you can even close your eyes and just listen to the words of the story. This is called The Key Flower, and it comes from Wales. Long ago, atop a green hill in Wales, a shepherd watched his flocks peacefully grazing. In the grass at his feet, he noticed an unusual flower. Its blossom bore the shape of a key. He picked it and put it in his buttonhole. All morning he enjoyed its sweet scent. That afternoon he led the sheep to another hill. There on the hillside, he came upon a stone door that he had never seen before. He wondered if somehow he'd got lost. But no, looking around, he saw that this was indeed the old familiar valley where the sheep had always grazed. The shepherd tried opening the stone door, but it wouldn't budge. Then he noticed it had a little keyhole. Chancing that the key flower might fit, he tried it in the hole. To his surprise, it fit perfectly. When he turned the key flower, the stone door opened. You might expect it to be dark and chilly inside the hill, but it wasn't. From the center of the hill, there shone a light that glistened like sunrise on a lake. The shepherd stepped inside and walked toward it. There he found all manner of treasures, mounds of shimmering gold and shining silver, heaps of bright emeralds, rubies, sapphires, and pearls. The poor, astonished shepherd could barely catch his breath, for such riches were beyond imagining. He thought of his loved ones waiting back at the cottage and began stuffing his pockets to the brim. He took off his socks and used them as pouches. He used his wool cap as a sack. Hurriedly, he set out for home. The weight of the riches was great upon him, but his gait was light nonetheless. For he imagined the joy of his loved ones' faces, on his loved ones' faces, when he shared with them the dazzling gems. The farther he got from the hill, the lighter the load seemed to grow. Soon he could no longer feel the weight of it. He stopped to check his pockets and pouches. To his great dismay, they were filled not with jewels nor riches, but with leaves, crumbly, dry leaves, the likes of which he would rake up and toss on the compost heap. The shepherd turned his pockets inside out. The bits of dry leaves blew away on the wind. The shepherd trudged home, puzzling over the day, trying to make sense of what had happened. When he got home, he wanted to tell the story of the key flower, the stone door, and the riches inside the hill, but when he tried to speak of it, his throat grew dry and his thoughts were scattered. He knew whatever he said would sound foolish, so he kept quiet. In the days and weeks to come, he often searched for the stone door, but he never found it. He often scanned the grassy hills for another key flower, though none was ever to be found. It wasn't until much later, sitting at the fireside one night, that he decided to tell his tale. In his mind's eye, he saw it with all great clarity, as if it had been yesterday. The thoughts formed freely in his mind and flowed from his lips like a bright river. Afterwards, his loved ones remarked what a fine story this was, and that he was a good teller of tales. He told them it was all true, every last detail, and they scoffed. What a rascal you are, they said. As the years passed, the memory of that afternoon stayed bright within him. Even as a very old man thinking about it, it brought a smile to his lips. So just a few thoughts in parting with you after the story was shared. This metaphor of the intangible treasures that we stumbled upon in our lives, those moments of mystical intimacy with life itself. This is what we're trying to grasp with this embodiment journey or this virtual retreat. So just like this experience of the shepherd, sometimes it is grace that brings a magical encounter, a mystical miracle upon our path. And it is enough that we know it was there. And this tale, again, it allows us to see that it takes time when some of these moments of soul illumination, these awakenings, when they come in our lives and they feel like a temporary miracle, like a treasure, a ephemeral treasure, a gem. The whole purpose of it is to not cling to that particular moment so much, but to internalize it so deeply, to embody it, to know that it was given for a purpose, and give it depth within our being, our awareness, and keep it in our hearts because it is our treasure. It is our treasure. And also some of the notes of the story here, I can look for a moment and then share. It says that we can evoke the memory of an experience that was like a treasure and relive that through our imagination, or we can strive to capture that through music, art, poetry. But like the key flower, all these are by nature temporary. We cannot stuff our pockets with the exuberance of the peak moments and take it home with us. It's not for that purpose. And a bittersweetness befalls us when our rare mood dissipates. And like the shepherd, our best hope is to take that moment of illumination of that treasure, it says, to keep it alive in our hearts and in the mind's eye. And remember that nirvana can be captured. We can't expect to possess it in a definite way because that's a setup for failure. Just the same way our practice of meditation, our practice of embodiment, or practice of evolution, it says it's like tending our sheep. If a transcendent moment comes, it comes by grace unexpectedly. There's no hope of ever finding the key flower without doing our daily practice. So it's a reminder in the mystic traditions that illumination strikes maybe only once, but the true mystic makes it the beacon of a lifetime, guiding each step thereafter. And I love the metaphor of that. And I want to revel in it for the next, 30 minutes to an hour or so. So take time after you listen to this video, after you listen to this story, and see what it means to you. Perhaps you journal about it. Journaling is great. And perhaps you write something as an extension of this story. And if you do, you know where to find me and how to share, so I can celebrate your excitement. Thank you again for connecting here, for the feeding and daily care of your true embodiment, and for storytelling time, stories of the heart. I have my little bell here. I will ring it again to complete our session. Namaste, dear ones.